campus of McKinney High School, where the Highland Park Scots revisit the site of one of their most exciting wins from a season ago and rekindle a fantastic rivalry against the McKinney Lions. My name is Brian Sutcliffe. I'm joined by the one and only, the legendary Miles Dunklin. We're so glad you could join us tonight for this live broadcast of Highland Park Scots varsity basketball. Last season, David Peeler's Highland Park Scots ran through their district schedule to the tune of a 14-0 district championship record. But that run to the trophy wasn't without some close shaves, and Miles Dunklin, the shaves didn't come any closer than what the Scots got on this floor a year ago.
Absolutely, it was their closest win of the year by only 1 point. And this is definitely a McKinney Lions club that anytime you know you're going head-to-head with them, it's going to be a really good game. Of course, they know each other very well. McKinney was a 10-4A opponent last year. They've now moved into the 5A qualification, so they're not a team that Highland Park's going to see a whole lot going forward, but they're certainly very familiar with the personnel they have right now. They have a lot of guys they played against last year, so this should be a really great game.
These teams squared off twice a season ago as district rivals, and the games were very different. On January 13th of this year, Highland Park won 62-61. There was a big second-half comeback by the McKinney Lions, but it fell just short as a Jonathan Red Shannon shot at the rim fell harmlessly to the floor as time expired, and the Scots escaped with a 1-point victory. It's much different at the Highlander Fieldhouse just a few weeks later on February 7th when the Scots destroyed McKinney 70-48. McKinney actually led that game 17-12 after the first quarter, but then the Scotties outscored the Lions 58-31 the rest of the way. In the last district rotation where these squads were both in District 10-4A, the Scots won all 4 meetings between these squads. Highland Park riding a 3-game winning streak, their most recent victory, 69-53 at the Highlander Fieldhouse last Friday against a very good Flower Mountain Jaguars squad. Might have been the best outing of the season for the Scots, who posted a season high in points with 69.
Yeah, especially when you're getting the contributions that you are from Trey Garrison, who poured in 14. Will Miller, of course, continues to score well. Really, definitely a very encouraging performance, considering they scored their highest point total of the season at 69.
The Scots are 7-2 coming into this one, taking on a McKinney Lions squad that's 6-2, coached by Wes Watson, who incidentally was Co-District 10-4A Coach of the Year with David Peeler 2 seasons ago. They've won 5 of their last 6. They've had some close games this year. They've got some outstanding players who you'll meet here in just a moment as we have the introduction of the starting lineup. So glad you've joined us as the Scots get set for tournament play this weekend as they'll head up northwest to Burke Burnett for the Bulldog Classic. We'll talk more about that as we get into the broadcast, but now let's go down to the floor for the introduction of the starting lineups. starters. The guards are number 3, Matt Frischilla, a 5'10 senior. Number 10, Matthew Kreitz, a 6'3 junior. The wings are number 2, Chase Fletcher, a 6'7 senior. And number 20, Will Miller, a 6'5 senior. The post is number 52, the big junior, 6'5", Clayton Murtha. Wes Watson coaches the McKinney Lions. They are 6-2, residents of District 10 5A. Their guards, number 1, Connor Fuentes, a 5'11 senior, and number 20, Jonathan Red Shannon, a 5'10 senior guard. The forwards, number 23, Tracy Miles, a 6'5 senior, and number 32, Darren Donaldson, a 6'4 senior, and the post is number 24, Raynell Denny, a 6'5 senior. The Scots will move from left to right. Here from right to left, it looks like it'll be Chase Fletcher tipping things off. And Miles, it's going to be a nice battle between a couple of the elite point guards in the area.
Yeah,
You've
absolutely.
got Matt Frischilla, who last season finished with over 7 assists per game, but that was second to Jonathan Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon's a guy who's going to be extremely active on the defensive end, and then offensively, not only can he score, he can dish it out as well. Like I said, he was the only guy in the area who had more assists a game than Matt Frischilla.
The Scots in the home blues move from right to left here in the first quarter. Glad you've joined us. In the first look at the game, we'll go to Wes Watson's McKinney Lions. Jonathan Shannon, if he's in the gym, he's in range. He is a volume shooter, averaging over 20 points and over 8 assists per game. His 3-ball gives the Lions the early 3-0 advantage.
Yeah, he's going to be involved in a lot of different facets of the game as Kreitz is projected down low.
A guy that's involved in a lot of facets of the game right there was Raynell Denny, number 24. Check out these numbers he put up against Bryan in their recently completed Arlington Classic. As Will Miller finds Chase Fletcher down underneath, he puts it in off the glass, and the Scots have their first points. They trail it 3-2. In the game against Bryan in that tournament, Denny had 35 points, 22 rebounds, and 7 blocks.
Yeah, that's called filling it up right there when you almost get a triple-double in the blocks category. Pretty unbelievable when you're only playing 8 minutes a quarter.
We prepare for a lot of these games, and you see a lot of crazy stat lines, but I had to look at that one about 5 times because it just didn't look right.
And Brian Shannon had a game last year, Red Shannon, where he had 14 steals in one ball game. So this is a guy who certainly, when you're talking about attacking McKinney, you're going to know where that guy is at all times because he'll steal the ball.
Nice pass from Chase Fletcher to Matthew Kreitz.
Yeah, beautiful backdoor action that time. Scots out to a good start offensively, and Chase being involved on both their 2 first good offensive plays with an assist and a bucket.
Scots with their first lead 4-3. They average 53.1 points per game, but that average has been going up the last few games as the Scots have been finding their way on the offensive end. The defense still characteristically stingy. Under David Peeler, 47.4 points per game allowed.
That was not a great shot that time by Shannon as Fletcher goes the length of the floor and finishes with the right hand. Impressive versatility shown that time by Fletcher, a post guy who can also run the floor.
Going both ways as Tracy Miles missed the bunny. The Scots lead at 6-3. This is a team for McKinney that scores a lot of points at 70 per game, but they yield a bunch too at just over 63.
And the Scots had their high point total of the year last week against Flower Mound with 69 points, and they've won 2 of their last games by 16 points at least. So look for this one, for them to Scots put up a little more points offensively. 4
early points for the senior captain Chase Fletcher as there's body contact. It'll be Chase's first, the first against the Scots. Chase had his fewest points of the season against Flower Mound in the 16-point win with 6 points, but he also chipped in 11 boards and 6 dimes.
And Shannon that time drawing the foul on Frischilla, and that's going to be a great matchup all game long because, like you said, Shannon's going to take a lot of shots. Not all of them will be quality shots, but Matt will be charged with defending it.
Fuentes pulled over Matt Frischilla, then he couldn't hit the shot. And Chase Fletcher was fouled by Connor Fuentes. That's the second team foul against McKinney. 6:05 left in the first quarter. The Scots lead the McKinney Lions 6-3.
You can already see off a dead ball, McKinney's going to try and press. Highland Park can test their ball handlers. Jonathan Shannon's going to lead the way in the aggressive defense.
Miller will get it to Frischilla into the front court. Bounce pass. Beautiful look to Clayton Murtha, the junior. Hits the nice bucket off the sweet dish from Matt Frischilla.
What a feed by Matt. And big time great anticipation by Matt.
Hits the trailer. Kreitz, he's fouled, and he'll go to the line. The Scots looking great in the first quarter. They played their best quarter of the season, very likely, in that fourth period against Flower Mound. That was a close game for 3 quarters, and then the Scotties blew them out 25-10 in the fourth. We're seeing more of that execution at both ends of the floor as a carryover from that one last Friday.
And you're seeing right there Matt Frischella's ability to play make. And you give him 2 or 3 options, he's going to find the right guy the majority of the time. That time was a really pretty bounce pass to Murtha, and the Scots scoring well on 9 points here in the first 2 minutes.
Fuentes leaves the game with a couple of fouls. There are 3 fouls now against McKinney as Kreitz goes 1 for 2. He's replaced by number 5, Remington Edwards, the 6'1 junior.
Shannon. So yeah, Shannon's going to get a lot of assists in this game, Brian. He's going to score a lot of points, but he's also going to have a lot of turnovers and a lot of bad shots. And that's just kind of what you have to live with when you get an athlete like this, especially a guy who's just now kind of getting into the flow after football season, where he was also a pretty darn productive player with 1,300 total yards during football season.
After the turnover, Wes Watson wants a timeout with just over 5 minutes remaining in the first. The Scots lead the McKinney Lions 9-3. We'll take this opportunity to remind you that HP Basketball's annual Hoops and Hot Sauce Dinner and Auction is coming up Friday, February 1st. It'll be here before you know it. It's a big event. For more information on tickets, underwriting, and auction donations, email hoopsandhotsauce@gmail.com.
Brian, did you just say February? I can't believe it's already hitting that time of year. It's
crazy,
approaching
man.
Christmas time.
You got my Christmas gift picked out, I hope?
Of course.
There's no comment. That took you way too long to answer, dude.
Making sure you got one for me, too.
Miller, Kreitz. I'm having it detailed as we speak. Up ahead to Miller for 2.
With a 2-hand slam. That was all about the feed by Matt Frischella. What a great pass.
An 11-0 run as McKinney hit their first shot of the game. It was Red Shannon, and the Scots have blasted him since. That's a block against Chase Fletcher. He was about to give Matt Frischella 5. He thought he'd taken a sure charge there, but the official didn't agree.
Yeah, he ended up, it was good hesitation to move that time by Shannon. We're going to talk a lot about Red Shannon tonight if you haven't noticed the early trend. But that time, Chase just got a little bit off the ground, and that's why it was a block instead of a charge.
Second team foul against the Scots. Edwards guarded toughly by Frischella. Take him all the way around the perimeter.
He does well.
Now it's Miles. Throws up the right-hander off the glass. It's not there. Tapped away by Fletcher. Shannon will find Edwards. He likes that spot from the wing. High rebound. Darren Donaldson gets the 3rd look here on this trip. Shannon will try it from the corner and hit.
What can you say about Red Shannon? This guy's going to shoot a lot, and he's going to make a lot of shots, too. He's already got 6 points, all of the points, in fact, for McKinney.
Shannon is second on the team in field goals attempted, and he missed the first 4 games of the year.
Wow. That time Miller was open on the backside, but a really good find by Murtha, posting up down low, and then a good cut by Fletcher to flash available on the post.
Fletcher averaging 14.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, and a couple of assists per game. He's already matched his total from the Flower Mound game here in the opening frame.
Well, that had to be an offensive foul.
With a forearm shiver to Matt Frischella. The shot was missed badly. Rebound was taken by Clayton Murtha. Nearly lost it. Frischella helps out.
So there is Red Shannon flying through the air, getting a deflection. That's how you get 14 steals in the game, is because he has incredible athleticism and quickness. That's a beautiful feed by Shannon, and one Brian Denny.
It's Darren Donaldson for the bucket.
Jeez, that was Donaldson. What a great find by Shannon.
I think they gave that foul to Clayton Murtha, it sounded like. They're not updating the foul numbers on the scoreboard. We apologize for that. The teams are even with 3 fouls apiece, just under 4 minutes remaining in the first. Donaldson has it hit off the back iron and goes straight through the twine.
And he
Stop play just long enough for Preston Smith, number 12, the 5'10 sophomore, to enter the game.
He often made free throw that time. They're going to substitute. Just got a little ahead of themselves.
Scotties have yet to substitute. They lead it 13-9. They trailed 3-0, then rattled off 11 straight. A little surge here by McKinney as the Scots turn it over. Here's Shannon. Goes right past Frischella and puts it in. Jonathan Shannon has 8 of McKinney's 11 points.
And that's already his 2nd steal. That was him who deflected it. Matt Frischella usually likes to make those stylish passes. And over and back call. I thought that one was deflected, Brian, but
that's what Chase Fletcher's trying to say, but it goes for naught. So
But Matt likes to make those flashy passes, but this is just a guy in Red Shannon you have to be a little more reserved against because he's so dangerous defensively.
Darren Donaldson found lots of space on the baseline, and he'll throw it down, and we're tied at 13.
Yeah, that was just a really nice head fake that time. 2 Scots went with the shooter. Definitely a mistake. They needed to have one guy stay over on the wing, and a good job by Donaldson. And Brian McKinney's right back in it. It was a good run there by Highland Park to start the game, but it's now 13-13.
After the 11-0 run by the Scotties, after allowing the first 3 points, it's a 10-2 spurt for the Lions, and we're even at 13.
Now, this should be a great game back and forth. I think this first quarter's only set the tone to what a great game this will be. Both teams coming in pretty hot. McKinney has won 5 of their last 6 ball games after starting the season only 1-2.
Both of their losses are by 2 points apiece, and one of those to a traditionally strong Lincoln squad. So this is another very good 5A non-district opponent for the Scots. That has been a theme of this pre-league schedule. A lot of 5A teams that are fielding good squads this season.
Coach Peeler doing some dirty work, get down on the floor with the towel, making sure he gets that white spot dried up. Jonathan Kenner also helping out there. As Trey Garrison has been subbed in. He had his high point of the season last week with 14 points.
Number 5, the 6'4" senior, Garrison, in his second tour of duty here at Highland Park, was here as a freshman, spent his sophomore and junior seasons at Prestonwood Christian Academy, and he's back for his senior year on that Prestonwood squad that won the TAPS Big School State Championship last season.
Yeah, they have some of the best prospects in the country looking to play Division I basketball next year.
Number 11, Jake Steganga, the 5'10" junior, pumps it into Fletcher, who'll back off. Skip it to the far side for Garrison. Takes a step in, he'll shoot the 3. They'll wave it off. And the Scots turn it over again. They're coughing it up on an average of 14.6 times per game. Just over their opponents, 13.9. 2:53 left, first quarter. We're tied at 13. There's Edwards. He'll take it baseline, throws the right-hander up, finds the bottom.
And Edwards' whole game that time he did a really nice job of running off the 3-point line. And if he can prove he can put the ball on the ground, he's going to be a valuable asset for McKinney.
He averaged less than 2 points per game last season, but he's already got 4 games in double figures this year. And the Scots are having a hard time even getting a shot off as they now trail 15-13 with 2.5 minutes remaining in the first.
What is that, Brian? 11-0 run by McKinney, I believe.
As fans continue to file in here, they've got that Staples Center type lighting. As Edwards cranks the 3, missed it, came all the way back out to Shannon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a theater setup as it's dim all the way around the court. And then the bright lights shining on the players.
Raynell Denny from the baseline and hit it.
And
just his first couple points of the game, but he's put up some serious numbers this year, and we saw him in the first round of the playoffs last year hit the game winner in their opening round victory over Frisco Centennial.
Good job by Matt Frischella, even though he lost the handle that time, making sure he's able to get back on the floor and at least force the jump ball. The possession will stay with Highland Park. So he very well could have lost that one. But he's a prideful guy. He didn't like to turn the ball over much. You can see it right there.
17 points for the Lions, the most points the Scots have allowed in the first quarter this year, and they trail by 4, 17-13. Under a minute 45 remaining in the first quarter. Brian Sutcliffe with Miles Dunklin here at McKinney High School as Frischella will kick it out to Fletcher. Steganga in the corner. He'll come up top, and they'll rotate it around to the right side for senior Matt Frischella. Right block, baseline spin. Fletcher takes it in among the trees.
Oh, come on.
Travel called against Chase Fletcher. And HP struggling mightily to get anything going on offense.
That was good offense that time. They had a good possession offensively. They were able to grind out some offense, get Chase a good look down low. Normally when he gets that kind of deep position, it spells trouble for the defense, but another turnover.
After the foul, Chase Fletcher has to leave the game. He's replaced by senior captain Matt Wilson, number 32, the 6'4" post. Offensive foul.
Great job by Matt. And that's exactly what he's in there to do. Was that a charge? Yeah, it was a charge.
John Trell Rockmore fresh into the game, number 21, the 6-foot junior guard picked up his first foul.
But Matt is one of those guys, the correcting the scout team guys during practice, always knows the right place to be, very coachable, yes sir, no sir, and right there being in the right place at the right time.
Scots lose it, it's knocked out from behind. Preston Smith, a little dipsy-do.
Wow, that was an impressive finish. Frischella tried to draw the charge, and now 19 points in this first quarter for McKinney.
The Scots led this game 11-3. They now trail it 19-13. Number 44, Derek Kahn's in the game, the 6'5 junior in his second varsity season. Got a significant run as a sophomore last year and made a big impact. The Scotties will expect him to build on that this season.
Yeah, averaging 9 points a game.
Preston Smith lost it. Then Remington Edwards threw it off the side of the backboard, trying to save it in. There's just under 32 seconds left. Scots haven't scored in a while. They trail it by 6.
No, a 16 to 2 run is not exactly what you have in mind. They started out very well. Need a bucket here to close the first quarter well.
Stiganga passes away from the double team. Now it's Frischella with 20 seconds. Garrison right side 3. Missed. Wilson fights for the rebound. It's taken by Red Shannon. Shannon will push it in transition. Kick it out to Edwards. 3-ball good.
Wow. McKinney's just firing all cylinders. 5 seconds left. 4-3. Highland Park won't get a shot. But Brian, that was a great close to the quarter by McKinney. Red Shannon that time, you could see the respect that Highland Park had for him. As the defender came off of Remington Edwards, and Edwards is just as capable of hurting you from the outside. McKinney did everything right in that first quarter scoring-wise. That is by far and away the most points that Highland Park's allowed in the first quarter all year, with 22 being yielded to McKinney.
It's the most points the Scots have allowed in any quarter this season. 22 as the Lions head to the second quarter, leading the Highland Park Scots 22-13.
Yeah, Brown, we knew this was going to be a tough matchup. This was a very good team last year, a very good team once again this year. They did lose A.J. Mutry, who was the top scorer in the area, but he wasn't as complete a player as, say, a David Allen. Mutry just kind of hung out by the three-point line, but even without Mutry, they have plenty of offensive firepower.
At Texas Capital Bank, we're driven by an unwavering mission to serve Texas businesses and the entrepreneurs and families who run them. Since our beginning in 1998, we've grown into one of the state's largest independent banks, with offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. Texas Capital Bank is proud to support the Highland Park Scots and wishes the team great success this season. Brian Suckling with Miles Dunklin, a 19-2 run in effect right now as McKinney has taken control. They trailed this game 11-3. They now lead it 22-13.
Yeah, and Brian, 13 points, all things considered, isn't that bad of an offensive output for the first quarter, but you simply cannot allow 22 points like that. McKinney did play very well in that first quarter, but they also had a lot of open threes by guys that are very capable of shooting it.
Just the second time all year the Scots have trailed after the first quarter. The other was the home loss to Jesuit.
That's a tough blocking call. Looked like Donaldson had cleared Kahn, and then he kind of just tripped as he got away. Tough call. That's team foul number 4 against the Scots.
4 fouls apiece. It's number 44, Derek Kahn, is at the top of that 1-3-1 look. Number 11, Jake Stiganga. Number 2, Chase Fletcher. Number 5, Trey Garrison. And number 3, Matt Frischella. Preston Smith tries the 3, missed it to the right. Offensive rebound, Raynell Denny. That's too easy.
You know, Raynell Denny, we haven't even heard from him yet, and McKinney's doing this well.
Just his 3rd and 4th points of the game. And then Darren Donaldson commits a foul 94 feet from the bucket.
You know what I'm saying? If your head coach, Wes Watson, your leading scorer right now hasn't even been involved offensively, so Scots right now not in good shape. They're playing the way like they played in that first quarter.
5th foul against McKinney. About 30 seconds into the second quarter, Scots trail it.
Wow, what a steal.
13, and here's a steal. Red Shannon battles with Frischella, loses it. Donaldson tries to save it in. 50-50 ball. Shannon will keep it alive.
You see the quickness that Red Shannon possesses, and I think that's either his 3rd or 4th steal already.
Preston Smith, long 3 is good.
Wow, Highland Park just allowing too many open shots. They know this guy can shoot. And just like Remington Edwards says, Highland Park, another turnover. Matt Frischella bounced that one on the baseline. This is pretty much a worst-case scenario for Highland Park. What's the run at this point?
Let's do a little quick math here. 24-2. A 24-2 run. Make it 27-2.
Yeah, Coach Peeler letting his guys play through it right now, but they're looking overmatched at the moment. A massive run by McKinney. They have been hitting their shots, but Brian, there's been too many open looks.
Scott's opponents this season shooting just under 27% from beyond the arc. They're doing way better than that tonight.
With the way the Highland Park's played, normally you might be down 5, 6, 7 points. The way McKinney's playing, they've been able to extend this lead to 17.
The Scots led this game 11-3.
And a cheap foul. That's actually a really positive development because that foul will put Highland Park at the free throw line.
That'll be Jake Stiganga striding to the charity stripe, averaging. He has yet to hit a free throw this year. He's only shot one. He's 0 for 1.
But Brian, Highland Park had not been able to get a shot up, much less a quality look. And here, 50 feet from the basket, you're committing a blocking foul or a reach-in that puts Highland Park at the line and possibly stops the bleeding. So McKinney just needs to line up and play solid D right now. His free throws can hopefully get Highland Park back with some little positive momentum, cutting the lead to 15 maybe.
The Scots this season shooting just under 60% at the free throw line. Very uncharacteristic struggles this year at the line for David Peeler's squad as Jake goes 2 for 2. 30-15, Lions doubling up the Scots. Lots of time left, 6:33 left in the first half.
Yeah, and if you're Highland Park, you don't gotta, there's no 4-point shots. You can't do anything too spectacular to try and shoot your way back into it. You just gotta play your game, continue to play solid defense.
And this McKinney squad will shoot you back into the game.
And I'll tell you what, Remington Edwards has contributed very nicely so far. We know he can shoot from the outside, but he's gotten a nice little, once he was run off the free throw line, he was able to make a play. And right there getting an offensive rebound and a wide open 3 right here.
There he is again. He missed
Short.
that one to the right. Rebound Jake Stiganga. He bowls over Chase Fletcher accidentally.
Nearly traveled.
5 3-pointers made by McKinney. Continues what we saw against Flower Mound, who hit 12 against the Scots on 37 attempts.
This is one of Jake's strengths right there, is ball handling against one of the best thieves in the area.
Fletcher, nice dish to the baseline for Kahn. Kahn can't, he got trapped underneath the rim. Finally pulled down by Remington Edwards. He's got Jontrell Rockmore, who's also a football player, but instead he throws it right back up to Kahn. Kahn will have to deal with Edwards. He'll take it up, and he'll draw the foul and earn a trip to the line.
Yeah, that time, they say never save the ball in front of the opponent's basket. But that time he saved the ball to Derek Kahn in front of the opponent's basket on the other side of the floor. Just kind of a lucky break for Highland Park to get a free, fast break opportunity, and hopefully Derek can continue to close this lead down.
Derek Kahn, the junior, averaging 9 points per game.
Yeah, he's a nice punch off the bench scoring-wise. He can score inside, he can score outside, he's got some size. There's a lot to like about Derek's game, and he's one of those guys, without a David Allen on your team that gets the scoring in bunches, you need him to contribute those 7, 8, 9 points every single night.
Got his first point tonight. He's been in double figures in 4 of the 5 games he's played. He missed the entire Scott Classic with pneumonia. So that's 4 games that he's yet to play. Nice lob down to Denny. He'll calmly collect and put it in off the glass.
That's just a case that you can't let that guy with that kind of size catch the ball that deep, because once he catches it, it's already over.
32-16, McKinney with a 16-point lead, 5:17 left first half. Stigango, kick it over to Kreitz. Mid-post right, nice baseline spin. Fletcher to the line. He's fouled by Raynell Denny. If you could get him in foul trouble, that would behoove you.
Go a long way to chipping your way back in this game, but that's a really good job by Highland Park getting Chase set up down low, because once he catches it down there, it's just like Denny on the other side. It's usually going to be a positive thing. It's either going to be a make where Chase is able to put his back to the basket and get a good look, or he's going to get to the free throw line, or they're going to collapse down on him and he's going to get an open look from the perimeter.
Chase had 6 quick points. That's just his 7th now of the game. He's 2 for 2 though, averaging just under 52% from the line, but looked much better with the form on that pair.
Well, we know he can shoot it. He can shoot from the perimeter. Just got to settle down a little bit at the charity stripe.
Now to Edwards. Thought about the three. Will Miller did a nice job closing off. That's a behind the back, or an over the back call against Denny. I don't know, they're going to call it on Remington Edwards. They called it an offensive foul.
Once again, every time there's a stoppage in play, whether it's either a made basket or a penalty or a foul, rather than doing too much football, McKinney's going to set up and press Highland Park and make them, force them to ball handle, be able to get into their offense.
It's Stegenga, Miller, Fletcher, Kreitz, and Kahn on the floor for David Peelers. Highland Park Scots. The pass is intercepted by Raynell Denny. Head man pass to Shannon as they'll reverse rolls for a moment.
That was a pretty reverse lane with the right hand. And that's exactly why you press right there. You force the offense to make the right play to get their offense initiated. And just that little bit of pressure will pay dividends.
Takes a step in. I'm surprised he didn't shoot that three-pointer. There's another rebound from Raynell Denny. He's a physical specimen. That guy looked like he ought to have been playing football. Dangerous pass, out of bounds. And McKinney keeping the Scots at arm's length right now. The Scots led this game 11-3, but now trail it by 16, 34-18 as Matt Frischilla rejoins the fray.
Yeah, a 31-7 run by McKinney. As Frischilla, they need his ball handling back in this. Yeah, you said it though, Denny, there's a lot of guys that play basketball that look like a basketball player. They're thin. He looks like a football player. He looks like a guy that's chiseled out of stone.
You have a lot of guys that say they, may play the four in high school. He looks like a power forward.
Absolutely.
Scots turn it over again. This time it's Fuentes coming away with the errant Frischilla pass.
Well, part of it is McKinney's played very well defensively, pressuring Highland Park, but some of it is just sloppy passing.
Donaldson missed the jumper. Up ahead to Will Miller.
What a find by Matt Frischilla. Not only the vision, but you couldn't have handed that one off any better. And some real savvy, you could tell Miller. It's a good idea where he was on the floor right there to be able to put that one up right as he caught it.
Scots within 14, down 34-20 with 3.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Connor Fuentes, who's yet to score in the game, had to lead with 2 quick fouls. That's a travel.
Yeah, absolutely was.
So, bit of a push here for the Scotties.
They've stabilized here after it was McKinney. Looked like they were going to run him off the floor for a bit. But Highland Park needs to close this quarter well. I think that's a really
terrible
dumb foul, considering that Highland Park's in the double bonus. You're 94 feet away from the basket. Highland Park has not been able to get decent shots up, and then you put a good free throw shooter at the line.
Hasn't shot many, but he's perfect.
I mean, at least make Highland Park, break your press, but a foul 94 feet from the basket is not what Wes Watson had in mind right there.
If you're the Scots, get to within 8, get inside 8 here in the waning moments of the first half. Of course, we jinxed Will. We missed the first of 2 as Clayton Murtha checks back in and will place Derek Kahn. We hope you'll join us for the Texas Capital Bank HP Scots one-on-one at halftime, where Will Miller was good enough to take some time with us. 1 for 2 goes Miller, averaging 9 points per game.
Yeah, he's really earned that role in the starting lineup. They need his ability on the wing as, wow, Shannon doing what he does that time. That was bad defense by Highland Park. It was like parting the Red Sea. Shannon once again with a great defense on Frischilla.
Scott's got lucky there as Fuentes stepped on the sideline.
But back to Miller, I think that Highland Park is coming into this year, you knew, all right, Frischella's going to be very solid, steering the ship at point guard. You're going to get solid post play with Fletcher and Murtha and those guys down low. But what are you going to get on the wings? And Will Miller's really been that answer on the wing.
Kreitz goes right past Shannon. He'll throw it up a little too strong. Credit Raynell Denny with altering that shot. As that big old 6'5", long reach. Had to throw it up high to get a good look at it. We're going to come to the other end. It'll be a baseline inbound, as it's just the 6th team foul whistled against the Scots.
Right, you might be asking, why was that not that dumb a foul, and the other one was a bad foul? Because McKinney is not in the bonus here, so that foul doesn't necessarily hurt you as bad as where Highland Park is able to get 2 free throws.
I might tell you asked too many questions. That would be very nice, though. Nice steal by Kreitz, the team leader in steals. Had 17 coming into this one to lead all Scots.
He's a perfect complement to Frischilla in the backcourt.
had multiple steals in the third quarter as Jonathan
Does it
Shannon
again.
gets an easy steal and finish. He's got 14 points.
See, a lot of his points, Brian, come off exactly that, where he just anticipates and gets a steal as Highland Park throws it away again. Another turnover on the Scots, where Shannon is just able to coast in and get an easy lay-in. It's like you wonder why, Brian, you wonder why you see LeBron James getting so many breakaway dunks. Well, it's because he gets so many steals on the other end and turns the defense into offense.
Scots trail by 17. 2:07 left first half. A lot of turnovers for both squads in this game.
Yeah, but
the difference is McKinney's capitalized on the Scots giveaways, and David Peeler's squad hadn't been able to do it yet.
Yeah, Brian, they're on pace for over 80 in this one. 38 points already.
No team has scored more than 57 points against the Scots in a game this year. McKinney has 38 with 2 minutes left in the first half.
Once again, a poor decision by McKinney. They're really keeping Highland Park in the game with a foul that's 40 feet away from the basket. Highland Park's had such struggles getting to, getting shots from the field and getting to the free throw line, and they give them a free pair right here.
Murtha hits the first. Pretty good field goal, free throw shooter for a big guy. 61.5% per game.
Yeah, he's shooting 70% from the floor on this season. And the guy Highland Park needs to get the ball to a little more often. He's 18 of 26 for the season from the field.
38-23. Ball goes past Fuentes. Scots thought they'd forced a turnover.
Yeah, that was one of those take the good with the bad with Shannon.
It's been a lot more good than bad in this game.
Yeah.
He's got 14 points, a boatload of steals.
He might be hard to coach, but he's harder to coach against. A guy you definitely want on your team.
He'll try it from the right side. Back iron, easy rebound for Schilla. He'll get it ahead to Chase. He's got to try to track it down, can't save it in.
Chase, though, a little silver lining on that play. Chase is a guy whose fitness didn't used to be his best attribute, but right there showing a little burst of speed when he needed it. He's really gotten a lot better physical condition over the years.
1:40 left. The Scots trail by 15, 38-23, trying to stay within striking distance in the waning moments of the first half. As Fuentes checks out, Remington Edwards comes back into the game with 8 points.
Edwards has been deadly. And Highland Park needs to have a quality last minute and 35 to have something to feel good about going into half. That's not it.
Pass nearly intercepted by Tracy Miles. Scott's fortunate to get another look as Trey Garrison and Ben Livingston, number 13. The 6'1 senior Livingston checks into the game for the first time.
Brian, has Shannon sat down yet? I'm sure he's well conditioned coming off of football season. Doesn't look like he's missed a beat and he's played every minute so far.
He will doubtless remember he had a chance to win the game at the buzzer in the game between these teams in this building a season ago, won by the Scots 62-61, but he missed the shot, and the Scots went on to win district with a perfect 14-0 record. A 2-shot foul against Tracy Miles sends Clayton Murtha to the free throw line. Clayton can make it a 13-point game with a perfect trip.
A good recovery by Miles, but apparently he fouled him in a really good offensive high-low action that time by Highland Park, and the free throw line is really what's keeping Highland Park in the game because they have not been able to get enough quality looks in the field. But the biggest thing is defensively just has not been up to par. And then, of course, McKinney making them pay with some deadly outside shooting.
1 for 2 this time. It's a 14-point McKinney lead, 38-24. The Scots trailed 22-13 after the first quarter.
This Texas Capital Bank HP Scots
Preston Smith, right side three, good.
Excellent ball movement by McKinney. Highland Park just a little aggressive, and Red Shannon setting up another outside shooter that's wide open.
Sophomore Preston Smith has 8 points off the bench. Thrown away. Red Shannon traveled with it. It didn't get called. He'll go to Smith, whose shot was rejected by Chase Fletcher.
Brian, unofficially, what is that? 6-7 steals for Shannon already?
Unofficially, a lot.
14 in a game last year is not a stretch. This guy really has the capability to rack up really silly numbers in that department.
Get it back from Smith. Edwards will throw it up from about 10 feet. He missed it, got his own rebound. Can't hit that shot. The Scots finally pull it away. Offensive rebounding's been a problem for the Scots this season. They cleaned it up a bit against Flower Mound.
Really savvy play that time by Garrison, as Tracy Miles had him pinned with nowhere to go, and he just threw it off of Miles out of bounds.
25 seconds left. The Scots can hold for the final shot, should they so desire. They trail the McKinney Lions 41-24. McKinney now a 5A squad in District 10 5A with the Plano schools and Allen. Livingston for three, good.
What a beautiful find by Frischella, working on Red Shannon. He got past him, no problem.
Throwing at the two, it won't go, tapped up. That's how the first half of play will end. So the Scots hanging on for dear life, head to the halftime locker room, trailing the McKinney Lions 41-27. At Texas Capital Bank, we're driven by an unwavering mission to serve Texas businesses and the entrepreneurs and families who run them. Since our beginning in 1998, we've grown into one of the state's largest independent banks, with offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. Texas Capital Bank is proud to support the Highland Park Scots and wishes the team great success this season. 41-27 is the halftime score. The McKinney Lions lead the Highland Park Scots. It's time for this week's edition of the Texas Capital Bank HP Scots One-on-One. And this week, Will Miller was good enough to take some time.
This Texas Capital Bank HP Scots One-on-One is with senior Will Miller. Will, thanks so much for taking some time to talk with us. You were an excellent JV player last season. Now your senior year, you're up on the varsity squad. Talk a little bit about the experience in moving from JV to varsity, and has it been everything that you'd hoped it'd be so far?
Oh, absolutely. Just, playing on JV was awesome. It was a great experience for me. And then just, watching varsity play, it's just, I couldn't wait to get to the varsity stage and just, play and just do my thing. So it's been good.
So we're 9 games into the season, and typically by about this time, the guys on the team have sort of started to move into what their role will be through the rest of the year. What do you feel your role is on this team through 9 games?
I think my role is just, shoot it when I'm open and not to try to do too much, just stick to the basics, stick to what I know what to do, and that's, I think, shooting and, just being a smart player on the court. So
you talk about shooting. We've seen a lot of it this year. You clearly have no fear about cranking it up from just about anywhere on the floor. Is that something that you've always had as part of your game, or is it something that's developed through the years?
Well, I've definitely had to deal with my confidence over the years. Last year I think I shot it, enough, maybe not enough. And this year I've just tried to increase that just a little bit, because I know that, I am a good shooter. So, confidence is a thing with me. Just get it up there, get the shot up there, and,
How much tougher is it now? You've seen JV play. Now you've moved up to varsity. How much faster is the game? Has the difference been what you expected?
Oh, not at all. You hear just the speed of the game is different, but I had no idea it'd be this different from JV to varsity.
So you're 9 games in. You're 7-2. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts. One of the things we've asked all the guys as you go through the season, what are your thoughts about this team? What do you think that the potential is for the squad this year?
I think we're gonna do just fine. I know last year they had a great team, great record. I think we'll do just as good this year, if not better. Maybe not have a better record than last year, but I think we'll do, just as well. Hopefully get deep into the playoffs. So.
Well, thanks very much for taking some time to speak with us. Keep cranking it up, man. Right, Will Miller, thanks for joining us on this week's edition of the Texas Capital Bank HP Scots One-on-One.
This presentation is brought to you by HPTV. If you or someone you know would like to sponsor this unique TV station, please email Mrs. Kelly Snowder at snowdeck@hpasd.org. And from all of us here at HPTV, we thank you for watching.
Welcome back to McKinney High School, where at halftime the Highland Park Scots trail the McKinney Lions 41-27. The leading scorer in the first half for the Scots was Chase Fletcher. He had 8 points. Matthew Kreitz had 3. Jake Stagengo with a pair. Ben Livingston had 3 points on a second quarter 3-ball. Will Miller with 5 points. Derek Kahn with 1, and Clayton Murtha had 5. For the McKinney Lions, Remington Edwards with 8 points. He hit 2 3-pointers in the first half. Preston Smith hit a pair of triples as well. He had an identical 8-point score line. Jonathan Shannon, the leading scorer in the game, he had 14 points. hit the first 2 3-pointers he took, slowed down a little bit, but ended up with a very impressive 14 first-half points. Raynell Denny with 6 and Darren Donaldson with 5. So, Miles, the Scots led this game 11-3 early on, but since then it has been all McKinney.
Yeah, it was just a shooting blitz by McKinney in that first and second quarter. It was really just an execution clinic by them. They made a lot of shots offensively. It always helps when the ball goes in the bucket, but they did a lot defensively. Of course, it was Red Shannon leading the way. We told you before the game he's going to get a couple steals, and he maybe got 7 or 8 in that first half alone. So Highland Park needs to play a lot cleaner in the second half. Way too many turnovers. The free throw line was really the only thing that kept them in the game.
Coming into this game, 29 was the most points the Scots had allowed in the first half all year. McKinney takes the floor, leading the Scots 41-27.
Yeah, they're on pace for 82 points. That would eclipse the season high allowed by Highland Park by 27.
Fletcher takes it up strong. It was blocked at the rim by Tracy Miles. Quickly the other way. There's a foul whistle against the Scots. It's on Matt Fraschilla. Number 3, Matt Fraschilla. Number 52, Clayton Murtha. Number 20, Will Miller. Number 2, Chase Fletcher. And number 10, Matthew Kreitz.
Yeah, Brian, that's what you call a summit meeting, when the two guys meet up there up high like that. Not often does Chase Fletcher get met with a hand when he goes hard to the rim.
Lob it into Raynell Denny. He has his
another turnover.
Points the second half as Miles comes the other way. He can't hit it, but Darren Donaldson does. And David Peeler wants a timeout. Just 29 seconds into the third quarter. The Highland Park Scots trail by 18, 45-27, and I cannot imagine that is a very happy huddle right now on the Highland Park bench.
Yeah, 30-second timeout, and yeah, like you said, he is not pleased. They went to the halftime. I'm sure Coach Peeler felt like there's nothing else that could have gone wrong in the first half, and probably felt like, all right, we're going to have to come out and play with a little better effort in this third and fourth quarter just by default. You can't play a whole lot worse than you did in the first half, and then here the first sequence of plays in the third quarter goes against the Scots. Certainly not what Coach Peeler wants to see.
So the Scots will re-rack, but now they find themselves trailing by 18. They got it to what appeared to be a fairly manageable 14-point deficit at the half, and then McKinney hits them with a 4-0 run to start the third.
And then out of a timeout, Highland Park turns it over. Tough to explain that. This press for the McKinney Lions has really caused a lot of problems. Highland Park usually has pretty good ball handling, but they've just had too many turnovers.
Fuentes picks up the dribble, finds Red Shannon. They'll work the left side of the perimeter, skip it over to Donaldson. Very quick ball movement here. Fuentes will take it in, floats the right-hander up, left it short. Will Miller pulls down the carom, averaging 3 rebounds per game.
Another turnover.
Donaldson will no-look it over to Fuentes. Goes block to block for Donaldson. Left it short, gets his own rebound, and he's fouled.
Yeah, and Highland Park just can't really get anything to go their way right now. They struggled to get it across the half-court line twice, and once they finally do, they turn it over again. And they force a missed shot at the defensive end, and they can't get a rebound. And it's just really been an avalanche of mistakes made by Highland Park, and that's why you're seeing an 18-point deficit.
Darren Donaldson now with 8 points. The Scots hoping to avoid picking up their 3rd loss of the year, which would match their total from all last season when they finished 28-3.
And that team last year was such a magical group. And they just seemed to have what it took to get it done in every game. And another turnover by the Scots. They have struggled so much to even get the ball across half court.
And the Scots will tell you, they think that this team has as many guys that can contribute and execute as that squad did, and we've seen flashes from just about all of them.
Right.
Against Flower Mound, you really saw it come together, but it has been a much different story here tonight against McKinney as the Lions have just hit them with haymaker after haymaker. And just when it looks like the Scots have forced a turnover, they give it right back up, and Darryl Donaldson now has 10 points, and the Scots trail by 21.
That one, they got lucky because Fraschilla was trapped in the corner with nowhere to go, and they got bailed out. But, when it rains, it pours. They have every deflection seems to have gone McKinney's way. Highland Park really just can't catch a break. And on top of that, they're not playing very well.
Number 14, Ryan Brady, the 5'10 sophomore guard, checks in. Trey Garrison back into the game as well.
Another turnover.
There's Miles. Brady not quitting on it. He'll make Miles earn it at the free throw line. This one's getting away from the Scotties. There's still lots of time, but the McKinney defense has been punishing.
As ugly as it was in that first and second quarter, and it was ugly, the third quarter's been worse.
Miles missed the first as Matt Fraschilla and the official had a bit of a word. Mitchell Kaufman, number 4, the 6'3 sophomore, sees his first action as Clayton Murtha gets a breather. So some fresh blood here as Coach David Peeler tries to tweak the lineup just a little bit and see if he can get something going. That's just Tracy Miles' first point of the game, but he's had an
Shannon
impact
gets another
at
steal.
the defensive end. Shannon is fouled.
Shannon, unbelievable effort that time. Gets the steal on the inbound and then somehow gets a back to the free throw line. This is one that Coach Peeler is going to want to forget. But Brian, I think back to that 11-3 lead that Highland Park has.
The
It
Scots
seems
look
like a
terrific.
very distant memory.
Forcing turnovers, hitting shots.
We're talking about a 16 to 48 point run by McKinney. Red Shannon called for a loose ball foul, holding against Trey Garrison.
Scots trailed it by 24, 51-27. They led the game 11-3.
This is just very uncharacteristic of this team. McKinney still doing an unbelievable job not taking their foot off the pedal.
There's Fraschilla up ahead to Kaufman. There you go.
Well, it's all about getting past that half-court line and breaking the press. Once you do that, that's the easy part, is scoring once you get it across the century mark.
Mitchell Kaufman coming off his best game as a varsity player with 8. That's when it's going your way.
Yeah, that would be NBA range.
19 points for Red Shannon. 25-point McKinney lead. And the Lions are purging some of the demons from that heartbreaker from a season ago.
Yeah. Shannon getting a little too aggressive that time. These guys are not letting up at all, up 25.
Well, it's games like this you can learn a lot about your team. It's not always when things are looking rosy. What kind of effort are you seeing out there? And the Scots are certainly still showing the effort, but so are the McKinney Lions, and that's been the problem for the Scotties, is they've come at the HP team in waves tonight.
And Red Shannon's close to getting himself a technical. I mean, considering you're up 25 points, I'm not sure why you're diving on the floor throwing elbows at people like it's a one-point game, but they seem like they want to rub it in. And they're not content leading by 25. Red Shannon wants to embarrass the Island Park Scots.
5.5 minutes left in the third. 54-29. McKinney with the lead.
And Brady just could not handle the quickness and speed of Shannon that time. He was just able to blow right past him. That's not an indictment on Brady. That's just incredible quickness.
It's now 5 team fouls against the Scots. Fuentes, not the only guy that hasn't really gotten into the act tonight. The Scots will see if they can get a good look. There's a deflection and a turnover.
Another steal by Red Shannon.
Up ahead to Shannon. Shannon for 2. Count the bucket and the foul.
Now this game cannot end quickly enough for Highland Park. Red Shannon has just made a mockery of this offense. He's gotten so many deflections and steals. Told you about that one, about that coming into this game, but they just have not been able to hold the ball in Highland Park. Searching for answers.
Matt Wilson into the game as Chase Fletcher gets a breather.
A 27-point lead. They're close to doubling the score of Highland Park.
Shannon makes it a 3-point trip. He has 22 points, 8 in the third quarter.
He gets another steal.
That's got to be close to 20 turnovers. There it is.
And that is the dunk of the year in the Highland Park season. That was an unbelievable alley-oop.
Fuentes to Denny, and the route is on. 59-29. Lions by 30. That was quite a lob. Denny had to go back behind his head
down
to get that ball. That's a good look to Kaufman. And then Denny with the rejection. Garrison, after the steal, hits the three. That's a good shot for Trey Garrison.
That's one that will shut up the crowd right there. Garrison with a quick trigger.
Fuentes will try to retaliate. He can't do it. There's an over-the-back call against the Scots.
A good job that time by, well, I thought that was over the back on McKinney. I thought Matt Wilson had some pretty good position down low that time. Like I said, Highland Park, not only are they not playing very well, they have gotten a lot of bad breaks against them. Once again, let's revisit that dunk. That was well behind his head. What a spectacular throwdown.
But he missed the free throw, and then Red Shannon. That's about the third or fourth foul we've seen 90-plus feet away from the basket.
Well, I mean, the reason why they've had so many fouls like that is because they've gambled so much in Highland Park territory right here. But Shannon's been, extremely aggressive. Now they have a 30-point lead. He's not gotten less aggressive.
With another block. He had 7 blocks to go with 35 points and 22 rebounds in their overtime win against Bryan over the weekend in the Arlington Classic. Edwards all alone for 3, got it.
And he's their best three-point shooter. He was wide open. I mean, McKinney is absolutely firing on all cylinders. Highland Park does not have an answer right now. Coach Peeler just letting his guys play through this. Another turnover.
This is a McKinney squad that scored 80 or more points 3 times this year, and they look like they're going to do it tonight. Shannon now with 24 points. There's a timeout on the floor with 3:48 left in the third. And it is a massacre in McKinney, 64-32.
We've got 12 minutes left in this one, and McKinney has already eclipsed the season high allowed by Highland Park by 7. Coming into this game, 57 points was the most points they allowed.
We'll remind you that HP Basketball's annual Hoops and Hot Sauce Dinner and Auction is coming up Friday, February 1st. For more information on tickets, underwriting, and auction donations, email hoopsandhotsauce@gmail.com.
I got to say, Brian, in all the years we've done Highland Park basketball, they've had games where obviously Highland Park hasn't won. I don't think I've ever seen a game get out of hand like this.
Scots trailing by 32, 64-32.
The McKinney student section is loving every minute of it. They cannot get enough of this game right now. Highland Park just has not played the kind of game that they're accustomed to playing, have not executed very well. You got to give McKinney a lot of credit for the style of play they have, that press, which even though they're up 32, for whatever reason, Coach Wes Watson is not pulling back at all. They've been just as aggressive as they have from the word go, and Highland Park has not yet had an answer for it.
Since the Scots led the game 11-3, McKinney has outscored Highland Park 61-21. Stegenga's out there with Mitchell Kaufman, Ben Livingston.
Shannon just plays 100 miles an hour at all times, crashing out of bounds. You think with a 32-point lead that they wouldn't mind putting in a couple reserves, but they're going all out.
Certainly looking for a statement win here, and they've earned it so far. That's a pretty ticky-tack call there against Shannon. Scots will take the breaks however they can get them at this point.
Even thinking back to the Kimball game last year where Highland Park was eliminated in the playoffs, they at least hung with Kimball for a large part of that game as Rochella finished with the right hand. This game really has not been in doubt since the second quarter.
John Trell Rockmore missed the shot, and Scots are able to clear the rebound. Knocked out from behind, so Scott's trying to get something going here, trailing by 30, 64-34.
A lot of teams up 30 points with only 9 minutes or only 11 minutes of action remaining. Would pull up a little bit, but McKinney not wanting to take their foot off the pedal at all.
Nice pass. Stegenga finds Livingston, left side 3, got it.
Beautiful offensive execution. Highland Park playing with 3 point guards in the lineup. Rochella and Stegenga complementing each other in the backcourt in a good series of passes.
Ben Livingston had hit 2 3-pointers all season. He's hit 2 in the last couple of quarters, and the Scots are down by 27. As Mitchell Kaufman
took a shot.
And his whistle for the foul.
I'll tell you what, Tracy Miles at 6'5" was ball handling against Jake Saganga at maybe 5'11". Looked like a guard with the ball in his hands. It trucked over Mitchell Kaufman.
And McKinney's already shooting the penalty for the rest of the half.
Still got a long way to go. Still over 10 minutes left as
Derek Kahn, Matthew Kreitz into the game. So it's Kahn, Wilson, Livingston, Kreitz, and Fraschilla on the floor for the Scots. .235 left third quarter, 66-37 McKinney.
in this offense they run in the half court. A lot of ball screens. That time a really nicely executed pick and roll goes for naught.
The length on the interior of that defense for McKinney has given the Scots problems in this game. Even when they've had decent looking looks, Scots haven't been able to really get good shots up, and that's about the first thing that Remington Edwards has missed in the entire game. He's got 11 points. He's hit 3 3-pointers, and he also goes on the all-name team this year. Fraschilla to Matt Wilson, the left-hander, puts it in.
Beautiful job once again. It's all about breaking the press that time, and Matt finding Matt, pair of senior captains.
Preston Smith, he's got that almost Sean Marion looking release.
A very good comparison there. Kind of shoots it from the chest.
Although Smith looks a little better than Marion does shooting it.
Yeah. Hey, it's made a pretty effective career out of shooting it just like that. Scott's trying to find a different combination of guys that can get it done. This is the first time we've seen Jonathan Shannon sit in this game.
The Scots have struggled this year shooting from the perimeter, and the three-point shot is a key factor in trying to come back from a deficit like this. Kahn will try to hit one. He left it short.
Yeah, Derek is one of the guys on this team that can make a three. Mostly, though, it's Will Miller.
Will Miller on the season's hit 13 of the team's 27 three-pointers coming into this game. That's 48% of the production from beyond the three-point line. Matt Fraschilla picks up a foul. It'll be the 1-and-1 with just under 54 seconds remaining in the third quarter. I'm Brian Sutcliffe with Miles Dunklin. Hoping you're still with us here. 66-39. This one's gotten a bit ugly. McKinney all over the Scotties.
Well, McKinney just played great in this one. I don't know what Coach Wes Watson's going to have to complain about in this one. They had a couple turnovers early on, but
they've been pretty rough with the ball at times as well, but the Scots just have not been able to consistently maintain possession of the basketball as Kahn was blocked off. Another turnover. Matt Wilson fights with Remington Edwards for it.
See, you know, they just can't get a break. They force the ball loose. It rolls right to a McKinney player. There's four Scots in the area, and they can't get the ball. It's just been one of those games for Highland Park.
33 seconds left. There's a timeout on the floor.
You said it, Brian. In the open, these were two coaches that shared the accolades for 10-4A Coach of the Year last season. But now McKinney in 5A, and they're showing they're going to be able to compete in that 5A classification. They've been outstanding tonight. I think they've been very impressive.
McKinney and Highland Park should have played 3 times last year. They actually ended up being paired in the consolation bracket of the Plano Avery Air Invitational, but being that the teams were going to face each other twice already, Watson and Peeler just decided, let's go enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Let's save it for district play. And hopefully if you're a Scott fan, you can just count on, this is still the non-district. They have to travel to this game. Hopefully this game's a little bit of an aberration because they really haven't really been very competitive in this game.
This is one of those you just kind of take the tape and throw it in the circular file and just move on to Wichita Falls, which will be the next game for the Scots. They'll take part in the Burke Burnett Bulldog Classic.
A defense that time by Wilson.
10 seconds left. Under the baseline, nice dish from Wilson to Fletcher for 2. First points of the second half for Chase Fletcher. He's into double figures. And the Scots head to the fourth quarter trailing the McKinney Lions by 25, 66-41. At Texas Capital Bank, we're driven by an unwavering mission to serve Texas businesses and the entrepreneurs and families who run them. Since our beginning in 1998, we've grown into one of the state's largest independent banks with offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. Texas Capital Bank is proud to support the Highland Park Scots and wishes the team great success this season.
You got really handed the student section from McKinney, hoisting a looks like a big green pickle with a cowboy hat as their mascot. They've made a lot of noise. Always like to see the environments in these games, whether it's pro Highland Park or not. It just makes for a better atmosphere when there's big student section involved. Highland Park, though, just looking for this nightmare to be over with. It's still possible that you could close out the second half, this fourth quarter well, make the game look a little more respectable, a little more good feelings headed back on the bus. But this one looks like it'll go in the win column for McKinney.
Coming into this game, the Scots had only allowed 1 quarter of 21 points, but McKinney in this game had 22 after the first quarter. They scored 19 in the second and just scored 25 in the third quarter,
including a monster jam by Raynell Denny that has to be number 1 I think I've ever seen in a game Highland Park's played in.
I remembered in the the Mesquite Horn game in Sherman a few years ago, Quincy Acey and John Bowman had a couple of nice dunks in that one.
Sure, but when you talk about the lob the finish.
Wilson.
Really nice baseline move that time. Finishing with the left hand. Of course, Matt just signed with Oklahoma State, and he will be a fine southpaw on the mound for them for years to come. As a baseball pitcher, he's really a complete package, Brian. The ERA hovered around 1 all season long. Great curveball, fastball, changeup. He's going to be a great player.
Scots trail by 23. A comeback is unlikely, but not impossible with about 7.5 minutes left. It was a 30-point game late in the third as Kreitz will take it up. He can't hit the shot. Raynell Denny with another rebound. Here's Red Shannon. He'll spot up for 3. Missed it badly. That was not a very smart shot from Red Shannon, but it's one of the few things he's done wrong in this one with 24 points. He had 10 points in the third quarter.
Didn't even look like he was trying in the third quarter. He sat for a large portion of that period, and he's got to have 10 steals, at least.
Matt Wilson will rise with a left hand.
Close, good look that time. Good feed by Frischella. That's all you can ask for right now if you're Coach Peeler. Not really looking for the scoreboard to improve as much as you're just looking for quality play, good shot selection, some other stuff you can build on.
Pretty pass from Frischella to Wilson. Wilson's got a new season high with 6 all in the second half. And it's a 19-point game with 6:40 left. Here's Denny. Offensive foul.
Great job by Matt.
Frischella did it.
What a great sequence by Frischella. A couple of pretty assists to Matt Wilson, and the defensive play drawing the charge.
Pretty wise timeout by Wes Watson and the McKinney Lion coaching staff. They lead it 66-45, but the Scots are about to have the ball with 6:37 left in the fourth.
Yeah, they played very well in the starting sequence of the fourth quarter. Certainly couldn't play a lot worse than they did in the first 3 quarters.
Brian Sutcliffe, Miles Dunklin here at McKinney High School. The Scots hoping not to see their 3-game winning streak snapped.
McKinney looking to win 6 of their last 7.
They've got some nice wins to their credit to the Lions. They beat Rockwall 63-61. Rockwall also moved up to 5A, and they've got Austin Grandstaff and Elijah Thomas, those outstanding sophomores.
They're going to be a great duo for years to come.
They lost to a good Frisco Wakeland team by 2. whipped Frisco Liberty 79-61, took down Garland Naaman Forest 85-71, lost by 2 to Lincoln 71-69, beat Bryan in overtime 80-75, took down Argyle in a low-scoring affair 55-43, and then beat Dallas Carter 81-79. So this was the biggest offensive challenge for the Scots this year, as in McKinney's probably the best offensive team they will have played thus far this season. And been able to slow McKinney down a little bit in the early moments here in the fourth, but 66 points, the most allowed by the Scots all year, and still 6:32 remaining in the fourth. Wilson's got 8.
Sequence for both Mats, hooking up. Wilson doing a really good job moving without the ball. And, of course, if you're open and number 3's got it, he's going to find you.
The deficit is inside 20, 66-47. Shannon over to Denny for 2.
He's got to be approaching a triple-double. When you talk about the assists, the steals, and the points.
Nice pass. This time it's Wilson to Kreitz.
Wilson has really had some inspired play in these last couple of minutes. Playing very, very well.
What's what you'd expect to see, I think, from one of your senior captains.
No doubt.
Come in, try to get things settled down, give some good minutes. Pretty dish from Fuentes to Donaldson.
Well, that's just Matt's makeup. Both Matts, for that matter, but especially Wilson. Just a really tough-nosed guy and a very smart player.
McKinney has 4 players in double figures. Froschilla just lulls him to sleep and takes it in off the glass.
Yeah, he can do that. If you sleep on him, he's very capable of scoring.
70-51. McKinney with a 19-point lead. They'll lob it to Denny. He won't dunk this one. Missed on 2 opportunities. 5:16, still a bit of time left. Here's Kreitz.
Yeah, Highland Park made this a pretty respectable game right now.
He'll throw it up and in.
And now Coach Watson wants another timeout. Shooting that one's to Peeler. This one's now a 17-point game, and these student section to our left, they had a lot to cheer about through 3 quarters. Been pretty silent here in the fourth.
The Scots trailed this game by 30 in the third quarter, but they pulled to within 17. It's 70-53. You can say a lot of things, but the Scots aren't going to quit.
Absolutely
they haven't
not.
quit in this game, even when it started to get a little ridiculous. They've managed to make a bit of a game of it here in the fourth.
They could have started feeling sorry for themselves after a couple of those threes went in for McKinney, because they didn't play very good defense in those first 3 quarters, but they played better defense than what the score said, because McKinney was just lighting it up defensively. They made every shot they had, some of them from NBA range, but certainly they quieted down, and Highland Park's made this a lot more respectable.
This game for McKinney going very similarly to their win over Frisco Liberty. In that game, the Lions trailed the Red Hawks by 9 after the first quarter, but ended up winning by 18.
When you look back at the first quarter in this one, Highland Park had an 11-3 lead. They started well enough to win.
Through the first 3 or 4 minutes, it looked like the Scots were the ones that were going to be looking at maybe a 17 to 20 point win.
Just in between hasn't been so solid.
Rick
Scott
Shannon
set up
back
a
into the
press,
game.
And McKinney breaks it effortlessly.
Connor Fuentes with the jump stop was blocked off by Fletcher, finds Edwards.
They have some guards that can really penetrate off the dribble.
Fuentes will take it baseline. That's a little too easy.
Yeah,
just the first points of the game by Fuentes.
There should have been some kind of weak side help coming from Highland Park. Not a great effort that time.
Behind the back dribble, knocked out from behind. The Scots will get it on the baseline with 4:37 left in the fourth. 72-53 McKinney.
I've been really impressed with Remington Edwards. When we saw him last year, the sophomore guard was just a 3-point shooter, but he's played a very good all-around game.
Off of Matt Wilson's screen, Matt Kreitz can't hit the 3 ball. Matt Wilson fights for the rebound, last touched by the Lions.
He has played great in this fourth quarter.
His best game of the year.
Had a sequence of about 5 or 6 plays where he was either involved on the scoring end or the assist.
Rochilla will take it off the glass again. Wilson fights for the rebound, but he inadvertently taps it straight to Raynell Denny. Denny will take it up and then off the glass. Did a good job using his body to shield Matthew Kreitz.
He's got a great frame. You can tell he's spent some time in the weight room.
Connor Fuentes thought he fouled Matt Fraschilla there, but no call. The officials at this point may be ready to get this one over with. There's Garrison, little step back three ball. Caromed out, was halfway down.
Garrison's a guy who's just some instant offense. He can get his own shot, shoot from the outside.
Denny showing some touch from the baseline. That's not fair.
Yeah, when that kind of guy that's a forward that has the ability to dominate on the low block like he does, develops that baseline 15-footer, it's pretty scary.
Post up Fletcher's double teamed. He'll
Good
skip
look.
it over to Matt Kreitz. Kreitz to the lefty. Wilson couldn't hit the shot. Remington Edwards with a rebound.
That was some great vision showed by Fletcher on that last possession there.
Edwards for three. And the Lions are just playing around at this point.
Well, they still do have a 23-point lead. Just 3 minutes left in this one. It's not been Coach Peeler's team's best effort, but they have not given up to the very end. This group of five has been on the floor with Fraschilla and Wilson have given a nice effort in the fourth.
Will Miller has his shot swatted by Denny. Comes back out to Ben Livingston. Livingston has hit a couple of three-pointers in this game and then puts it in on the floater.
Well, teardrop in the lane that time. That's how you negate the blocking. That's what you call a giant killer. One of those you throw up over the top. He can't get to it.
So it looks like the Scots, after the timeout, with 2:38 left in the fourth, are going to fall to 7-3 this year. And they'll look to get back to their winning ways on Thursday night as it's round one play in the Burke-Burnett Bulldog Classic up in Northwest Texas. It'll be an 8 o'clock tip. We'll have the broadcast starting about 7:55. We hope you'll join us. The Scots will take on Wichita Falls, Plainview, and Canyon Randall in 3 preliminary pool games. The other 2 teams in the tournament are White House and Burke-Burnett. A couple of good teams. It's a good field, as it typically is. Burke-Burnett, a really good 3A program, won the state championship a few years ago. And the Scots played a whale of a game, an up-and-down affair against the Bulldogs last year. The Scots would need to match up with Burke-Burnett in the final game.
And Brian, as much as that tournament is about playing games and playing good teams, it's also a lot about going on the road, letting these guys stay in hotel rooms, traveling together, going to, Whataburger after the game, and just kind of building that camaraderie early in the season. That's what a road trip does for your team. And I think that's a really smart play by David Peeler to use that tournament every year to really build some team unity.
And McKinney has cleaned out the bench. As number 3, Atoka Torregano. Number 2, Mickey Mead. Number 34, Andrew Mystery. And number 10, Daniel Olison are in the game. Mead will try it. Nearly got it to fall. That's a good rebound for Andrew Mystery, whose uniform doesn't match the rest of the team. As Miller will take it in transition. Nice play by Will Miller, who's got 7.
Yeah, it looks like he has the right pants, but not the right top. Usually that one will be a free throw at the beginning of the game for the other team. And you'll have the correct uniform.
Under 2 minutes left, 76-57. McKinney with the lead. There's Miller, get it ahead to Chase. Fletcher will let the defender fly by and put in the easy one, and you wonder if we're pretty close to maybe the Scots getting some of their guys out here. Ben Livingston ain't quitting. He's got 10. That ties his season high.
Scots have played with a really good effort in this fourth quarter. I'm really proud of the way this is a blowout situation. Obviously, they trailed by 30 in the third quarter with some really demoralizing plays happening against them. But they have played very well in this fourth quarter.
Chase Fletcher with the steal. He'll get it over to Miller. Miller with a pretty spin. He'll throw it up wildly. It's an offensive foul.
Let's going to call that one player control more than anything. Just didn't really have control.
Clayton Murtha, Jake Stiganga return to the game. 1:15 left. The result has long been secured for McKinney. The only question, the final result, is Frischilla will sit for the rest of the game. Stevie Smathers, number 12, the 6'1 senior, about to get into the game.
The other question, will we see that Ray Aldini dunk on SportsCenter? That was spectacular.
It was a pretty good one. Long three is hit by Preston Smith. Smith becomes the 5th player into double figures for the Lions. 79-61. The only question is, will McKinney hit 80 for the 4th time this year?
And just remember, everybody, 57 was the high allowed by Highland Park all year. Stiganga hits a 3. So 22 points already ahead of the season high allowed by the Scots. They'll shatter that mark.
Stiganga finish, if he doesn't score again, with a new season high of 5. 79-64. So the Scots making it respectable. They trailed by 30 in the 3rd quarter. At one point, McKinney outscored the Scots 61-21.
Yeah, that was a brutal, brutal stretch for Highland Park. So they got out to a nice lead, but like you said, you're not going to win many games where you have a stretch where you lose a run where you're down 40. That's exactly what happened between Highland Park taking an 11-3 lead and that 61-21 run made by McKinney.
The high water mark for the McKinney offense this year is 85 in their 85-71 win over Garland Naaman Forest.
They've been hovering around that mark a few times, though. This team can certainly fill it up. Exactly 40 seconds.
McKinney's going to move to 7-2. And the Scots will pick up their 3rd loss, equaling their number of defeats from all of last season. Scots still showing maximum effort on defense in a 15-point game with 20 seconds left. There's a steal. That'll be the 7th foul, and Stevie Smathers is going to shoot free throws.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Good job by Stevie being able to get to the line. Stevie doesn't get to play very much, and so when he does, it's nice to be able to see him go in there and hopefully get on the board. He'll shoot the front end of a 1-and-1.
Will not fall. 10 seconds left and 1. The Scots will be ready to move on past. 79-64 is going to be the final. The McKinney Lions have defeated the Highland Park Scots. The Scots fall to 7-3 on the season. For the McKinney Lions, they move to 7-2. And these McKinney Lions are going to be a tough out in District 10 5A this season. I can guarantee you that. They play like this. They're going to win an awful lot of basketball games. They've been a good program for several years, and another great team put out on the floor by Coach Wes Watson. So a well-earned 79-64 win for McKinney. Chase Fletcher had 12 points for the Scots. Matt Frischilla with 4, all in the second half. Mitchell Kaufman with a couple. Trey Garrison with 3. Matt Kreitz had 7. Jake Stiganga with 5 points. Ben Livingston with 10, matching his career varsity high.
A couple of threes for Ben.
Will Miller with 7. Matt Wilson with a new season high. He had 8. Derek Kahn with a point, and Clayton Murtha with 5. So, Miles, a bit of a rough one here for the Scots, but they managed to finish strong. You know, they were down by 30 in the 3rd quarter, but as we always see in any sport, the Scotties don't quit and ended up making it pretty respectable. It's a loss, but 79-64 is the final. You saw some good effort there in the second half, certainly, as the Scots move on to tournament play in Burke Burnett later this week.
Yeah, and, you know, I think these early games, the reason why they play tough 5A schools is because they want to be as best prepared as possible for once they enter district play, and they're not going to see anything like they saw tonight once they get to district. So certainly prepare them well, but overall, not a very crisp effort by your Scots tonight. They turned it over way too much. They didn't play very good defense, but you also got to hand a lot to McKinney for playing very well. They executed very well, and hopefully Highland Park will be able to take this one as a learning experience.
This presentation is brought to you by HPTV. If you or someone you know would like to sponsor this unique TV station, please email Mrs. Kelly Snowder at snowdeck with a K at hpasd.org. And from all of us here at HPTV, we thank you for watching.